Today, I want to tell you about a German composer by the name of Felix Mendelssohn. Now, he grew up in Hamburg, Germany in 1809 in a very wonderful family. They were highly cultured, they were very intellectual, they were really into arts, and his parents made sure that he was very educated, that because they valued that there was language and art and literature and all of that. Now, his mother was also musical, and she started teaching him by the time he was 6, and then he was very good. So by the time he was 7, they got other teachers in, and then he started learning piano with others, but then he also started learning composition pretty early on. He was not the only prodigy in the family, however. He had a sister, and we're going to make a video about her another time because she is a composer all in her own right. Now, he, back to Felix, was incredibly gifted. And by the time he was 12, 13, he'd already made quite a few compositions for symphonies, for chamber ensembles. He'd even written some scenes for operas, and he just kept on going. When he was 17, only 17, he wrote an overture to The Midsummer's Night Dream. And in that overture, there's a wedding march. And Queen Victoria thought that was a magnificent wedding march, so she used it for her daughter's wedding. You guys all know this. Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. That is something that Mendelssohn wrote at 17. Now, this Mendelssohn was quite a Renaissance guy. Not only was he a great composer and a great performer, a pianist, a violinist, he was also a wonderful artist. He did painting and drawings. He wrote poetry. He spoke languages. He spoke fluent German, of course, because that was his language, but Italian. He spoke English. He spoke French. All of that. Way to go, guy. Now, their parents were really great. His parents were wonderful. They weren't very pushy. They were very supportive, but they didn't need his father was a very wealthy banker. They didn't need the money. So they allowed him to just go at his own pace and explore what he wanted to. There was no pressure. They didn't say, no, you can't do that. You have to be a doctor. No, they said, go for it. But also take your time. And that helped him tremendously. He got a very good, solid foundation. Now, as he studied the greats, he really fell in love with Bach, loved the counterpoint, loved the clarity of Bach. And after Bach died, his choral work kind of fell into obscurity. People weren't really doing it much, but not Mendelssohn. He loved it. And so he was the first one to conduct St. Matthew's Passion by Bach since Bach had died. This stirred a whole new, people started loving Bach again. He opened their eyes like, hey, remember this guy? And we still listen to him now. Another thing he did was he really shaped the role of the conductor nowadays. At the time, if a conductor was conducting, it was however they wanted to, and also they would use rolled up sheet music or maybe a violin bow. But he brought in the baton. He also made it very clear, this is one. Anytime you go down, you see a conductor go down, that is one. He's the one that made sure that it was clarity, and no matter where you were, you always understood what the conductor was trying to get from you. Now this guy's grown up, he's composing, he's directing, he's conducting, he's doing all the things, he's touring all over Europe. Of course, he speaks all these languages, but at one point he's like, I want to settle down. He goes to Leipzig, and he there creates or starts the Leipzig Conservatory. This was at the time one of the highest, the best music colleges in Europe. He was friends with many great composers and musicians, and so he was able to hire them there as staff and tutors and whatever. He even hired Schumann to come and work there with him. Now, obviously, he'd been doing a lot, composing, starting a school, learning how to conduct or creating all this stuff. But by the age of only 38, he had a series of strokes, and he died that young. So sad. But think about all that he did in 38 years. Go listen to some Felix Mendelssohn.